In my mind, the EudraVigilance and patient spontaneous report go together intimately. The more public information will be released, the more the public will see the utility of filling in the database and reporting adverse drug reactions. To illustrate this, a recent case from someone I know who had a motorbike accident and who suffered from acute pain. Initially, the idea was to give him some anti-pain drug that was no longer available. So another one was prescribed instead. And in the next days that followed, that patient suffered from severe anxiety, nightmares, to such an extent that he didn't want to go to sleep, a kind of Freddy Krueger horror movie reaction. And firstly, everybody was telling him that it's normal when you have a motorbike accident, you have this kind of psychological reactions. But then together, we had a look at the package leaflet where we could see that anxiety, nightmares, and these suicidal ideations were rare adverse reactions which were known. But the patient, of course, didn't read the notice before. And when he realized it, then he decided to stop taking the product. And immediately, his first reaction were to look for more information about it. Statistics for him were not enough. He wanted to see if there were sources of information where other patients had reported the same effects. And he wanted to report his personal experience because he thought that it would be very useful to inform patients that as soon as they stop taking the product, things improve. And furthermore, there was this line, this phrase in the text that says, don't take alcohol with the product because it would increase its effect, but it doesn't say if it's the alcohol that increases the effect of the product of the reverse. It doesn't say clearly that the adverse drug reactions can also be increased by the product. So we took together action about it, but unfortunately, we don't have for the moment the tools to obtain the information. Did other patients have the same adverse reactions? And when it happens, there is not everywhere an easy tool to report that. Next slide, please. So EudraVigilance for us is first a success, and the patients and consumer have been working on how to increase awareness on how important it is to report to the doctor, and now via spontaneous report. And I would refer back to the recommendations back to 2004 about this. It is a progress because altogether 27 member states are now working all together in these. There was a commission audit on the pharmacovigilance system a few years ago, and we think EudraVigilance is pushing member states to make progresses. Recently in France, there was a parliament inquiry about a critical affair due to a product that probably shouldn't have stayed on the market for that long. But what was important to realize is that the members of the parliament discovered that in EudraVigilance, for the moment, France is in the 5th position, if I am right, in terms of numbers of reports being sent to EudraVigilance. And they were thinking, but we are supposed to have the best pharmacovigilance report system in Europe. How can it be that we are only the 5th reporting country? And I think they realized that there are many more efforts that have to be invested in pharmacovigilance, that it's not an easy system. And I think it's excellent that even via a dramatic crisis like this one, the national politicians realize also the importance of working pharmacovigilance report. Another progress is the 40 fields that will be publicly released, and maybe even more than 40. And I think all the fields that were chosen to be publicly released will provide us with excellent information on the drugs. I think most of what patients would like to see is contained in these fields. And it is a hope not only for more rapid detection, but also a hope that patients will feel more comfortable when taking a drug, and also getting information about these drugs and sharing the experience they have when taking the drug with other patients. an illustration of this is all the online communities and social medias where patients really appreciate to discuss with each other about the adverse reactions they leave. More than statistics and crude reports, it really gives them the feeling that it's not they who are wrong, it's the product and the interaction with them which is delicate. Next slide. What can we do as patients and consumers? Firstly, to work with national authorities to organize the self-reporting. The regulation is quite vague. There is an encouragement to member states to decide to adopt measures to facilitate patient reporting. But which measures will these be homogenized, or will each member state do it differently? We have to make sure that we coordinate these. We have, of course, to explain to our public on how to use EudraVigilance, how to have access to the information. We need to better work, maybe, or more with the agency, how we would like the data to be displayed. We had at the PCWP a first discussion about it. I'm not sure we came back to the agency with as much information as we should have, but maybe this is something we should focus more about. How do we want this information to be easily accessed by the public? And we have to work with our public, our members, to always report adverse reactions. We saw from the previous speakers from the UK all the measures that were taken to communicate on how important it is, and we realized that this will have to be a permanent process. One campaign is not enough. We'll have to put in place permanent efforts to encourage patients to report. And last slide, please. We are also interested by the new opportunities we have to collect information in domains that are not frequently used. I could also add a pregnant woman and all the products they are taking. I think patient reporting is also an excellent tool to collect that feedback, in addition to concomitant use with illicit products or off-label use. And to finish with the specific domain of rare diseases, I think it is difficult to first decide, okay, where to start with. There are more than 4,000 rare diseases and patients all over Europe, and millions of patients with rare diseases, but at least we know there are already 353 registries on rare diseases, meaning that there are centers with experience to collect information, to code that information, and in many cases, patients fill the database themselves, so there is a first experimented ground that we can work with as the first centers where to develop these efforts and implement measures to invite patients to report. And I think I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thanks very much, François. I think